Now, we know that on-tact is more than just a digital trend. It is an unavoidable part of our society that we have to accept in order to survive. We may be losing traditional jobs because of digital technology, but the truth is, we all need that technology in order to survive. There is no turning back. If you have already left your job, it might be difficult to return to it. Or it might be impossible because you can be replaced by a machine. What about those people who remain in their jobs? Is their position secure? In many offices, there is an unsettled feeling. If you are one of those who has had a bad feeling about your future, you might not be too far off. Many have seen how lockdowns impact the local and national economy. But it doesn't stop there. Even global corporations aren't immune. Take my home country, for example. In the second quarter of 2020, Korea saw the largest quarter-to-quarter drop in exports since 1963. As countries around the world strengthen their protective trade policies, it will be a particularly hard blow to companies that are heavily dependent on exports. Not long ago, an executive of a well-known stationery company sent me a message on Instagram asking me to help him promote its products on MKTV. He said that the company had a huge inventory of notebooks piled up in its warehouse. They had been produced for the 2020 school year. Obviously, all schools, from elementary to high schools, were delaying their opening dates because of the coronavirus, making the notebooks unnecessary. I had never imagined the impact reaching this far. It was at this moment that I realized that untold numbers of companies in areas that we'd never expected were struggling. In the future, there could be hundreds of cases in which people will have to worry about the survival of their companies before worrying about saving their jobs. Since the coronavirus outbreak, I have spent most of my time meeting people. In particular, I met with many CEOs to seek their advice. They were all known to be competent leaders in their industry, with years of experience and accomplishments under their belts. Unfortunately, they were just as lost as I was. I visited them seeking their advice, but in the course of our conversations, they sought advice from me. One of them had been running a successful business for 30 years, but even he told me that he was out of his depth. He didn't know in which direction to go. It was not because they had any concrete problems, but the rapids that they found themselves in during the crisis were so strong and fast that it was not easy for them to get their bearings. Large companies that have their own research institutes seem to have noticed what's going on faster than others. In the case of small companies like mine, a crisis like this reverberates through every level. At both the largest and smallest ends of the spectrum, however, it can be easy to make shifts in a timely manner. Large companies have entire research teams to provide insights and instructions. Smaller teams like mine can transform themselves faster, since they don't have as many opinions to consider, and therefore everyone tends to agree very quickly. Companies that have from 100 to 200 employees seem to be the ones that find it most difficult to make fast moves because they are neither small nor big. Their employees are nervous, but believe that the size of the company will insulate it from catastrophic events. At every level, employees count on their bosses to do the right thing. But what if their bosses are lost themselves? That's the kind of situation where there is no solution. At this point, we can draw another conclusion. Nobody knows what will happen to the company they are working for at the moment. Let's not count on the boss. Let's count on ourselves instead. How will the coronavirus change our jobs? The most important question facing us now is, in the post-coronavirus world, how can we keep our jobs and how should we work? I can answer that question with one sentence. Become an independent worker. Become someone who can freely and independently do the work that they want to do, no matter what variables come into play. An independent worker is someone who doesn't lose a job due to external variables. In life, we often face situations just as unexpected as a global pandemic. It could be your child suddenly getting sick, which requires you to quit your job and care for them. Your husband could lose his job, making you the family's sole breadwinner. Perhaps a business that's been successful suddenly starts declining or closes down altogether due to shifts in consumer demands. All of these could be career-ending for someone who is beholden to an organization run by someone else. An independent worker can find work whenever they want, no matter how internal or external circumstances change, and most importantly, they can do it in the way they choose. Min-jeong has been a web designer for a company for over 10 years. Being a talented designer with good sense, she quickly moved up the corporate ladder to become a team leader. Then she got married, had a child, and quit her job in order to care for her newborn. While at home, she started finding work with shopping malls, creating their product detail pages whenever she could find time. After doing this for about a year, she thought it wouldn't be that difficult for her to create her own shopping mall.